Good evening, I'm Bo Williams and welcome to The 7, now streaming live on WATE.com. Well, let's get a look at the Big 7 stories right now. Topping the list for us tonight, a dangerous combination right now, wind gusts and wildfires. We've been watching the situation in several spots today. Here's the view from our Sky 6 camera on top of the Embassy Suites Hotel. And we'll take a look. You can still see that smoke rising here along Sharps Ridge. It's tough to see the flames, but again, crews right now battling a wildfire there. It's been burning on Sharps Ridge for a good chunk of the afternoon. Knoxville fire crews estimate a quarter-acre in size. No buildings, we should point out, are threatened, but again, we'll keep a close watch on this fire for you. It is off of Broadcast Way, if you know the Sharps Ridge area, to kind of give you a reference there in North Knoxville. So again, that's how things are looking. Now, we sent a crew out earlier this afternoon getting a better look at the smoke rising from Sharps Ridge. We've been smelling the smoke outside our 6 News studios here along North Broadway, and we're told by the Knoxville Fire Department that the Tennessee State Division of Forestry was called in to help tackle this fire. And windy conditions helping to spark a small wildfire in Sevier County today. The fire was burning along Bluff Ridge Road. It was only 1 acre in size, but still threatened 2 buildings at one point this afternoon. Those buildings did not have to be evacuated. The fire was quickly contained. The Walden's Creek Volunteer Fire Department telling us the wind caused a tree to fall on a power line, which then sparked the fire. Check back with you, Ken. Next on our Big 7 at 7 list, advocates for special education in K-12 schools pushing to maintain federal programs run by the Department of Education after the president signed an executive order last week aimed at dismantling the department. Now, while the department cannot go away without an act of Congress, it has sustained significant cuts in staffing and funding, leaving parents and local Board of Education members questioning what this means for special education programs like IEPs or individual education plans that were funded by the department. According to Knox County Schools, over 9,000 students benefit from some form of special education support each year. And tonight, Knox County School Board member Catherine Bike tells 6 News the school district cannot afford to fund that many programs on its own.
We have an obligation to make sure that students have IEPs, that their IEPs are being followed, and we also have an obligation to make sure that the state and federal government are funding those programs and providing what they, by law, are required to provide to us.
Bike adds she has been told that federal funding will not change and laws have not changed for what needs to be provided for students regarding special education. However, she says she will continue to advocate to maintain the standards for special education in Knox County. Up next on the Big 7 at 7, the driver of a school bus that crashed in Roane County has now been booked on multiple charges. Paul Perrin has been charged with reckless endangerment, child abuse, giving a false report, among others. 21 students were on board at the time of the crash. 2 were taken to the hospital, one with a severe head injury, another with a hand injury. In the Tennessee Highway Patrol's incident report, video evidence from the crash reveals that before the bus went down an embankment near Ponders Gap Road, Perrin was swerving in and out of lanes and using his phone while driving the bus. Now, as we reported yesterday, a tree reportedly stopped the bus, keeping it from rolling further off the road. The injured children were rushed to Roane Medical Center and later to East Tennessee Children's Hospital for treatment. At the scene, Perrin said he had to move out of his lane because a car was coming toward the bus, but this is what led to the false report charge. Big update in our next story for you. Knoxville Prep and Chattanooga Prep announcing new school leaders. The board of directors has named Troy Kemp as CEO. He has 34 years of experience as a teacher, coach, administrator, and nonprofit leader. Chad Everett was named as vice president of schools. He has experience working with a charter school network. Kemp, meanwhile, saying, quote, challenges in the past may have pushed us back on our heels, but we are shifting our stance and playing from our toes. Now, earlier this month, we told you about a hiring scandal involving Chattanooga Prep. Nearly half of Chattanooga Prep's teachers were recently found to be unlicensed, leading Hamilton County schools to begin the process of revoking the school's charter. There are concerns that a similar issue could unfold at Knoxville Prep, which shares a central office with the Chattanooga location. Knox County School Board member Catherine Bike telling 6 News that because the 2 schools share the same central office, there is a real chance that the issues at Chattanooga Prep could be present in Knoxville as well. Now, she has asked Knox County's central office staff to look into Knoxville Prep for compliance issues, and we will, of course, continue to follow this story. Moving down our list for you, Tennessee's 2 Republican senators are criticizing TVA's leadership, also calling on President Trump to appoint a new CEO. The comments made by Senators Marsha Blackburn and Bill Hagerty were published in an op-ed by Power magazine. In the article, Blackburn and Hagerty discussed the importance of nuclear energy and write TVA's board, quote, lacks the talent, experience, and gravitas to meet a challenge that clearly requires visionary industrial leaders. The article also highlights small modular reactor technology that is under development. TVA plans to build one such reactor at the Clinch River site in Oak Ridge. However, Senators Blackburn and Hagerty argue current TVA leadership does not have the competence and courage to make full use of this development, saying the authority has fallen victim to paralysis by analysis and has focused on diversity instead of job creation. But in a statement to 6 News, TVA pushing back on this notion, saying it is aligned with the Trump administration's energy dominance policy. Meanwhile, Blackburn and Hagerty are encouraging President Trump and Energy Secretary Chris Wright to appoint an interim CEO to replace current CEO Jeff Lyash, who recently announced plans to retire. Normally, the TVA board selects who to hire as CEO. The president, however, does appoint board members who are confirmed by the Senate. We'll, of course, be watching to see if this process changes. And for our final Big 7 story for you tonight, an East Tennessee woman fighting now to keep her ex-husband behind bars. William Crawford Jr. is serving a 46-year sentence for attacking his ex-wife, 2 kids, and his in-laws in April of 2008. He was convicted of shooting his way into his in-laws' home and being stationed before then shooting, stabbing, and biting the 5 victims. All 5 survived, and Crawford was captured after a 4-day manhunt. Now he is set to go in front of the parole board Thursday. Emily Cole is one of the victims. Now she hopes Crawford stays behind bars.
It's like reliving everything all over again. It's something that nobody looks forward to going to, but we also know that there's a risk that if he ever got out, that he would hurt us and others.
We, of course, will let you know what the parole board decides. The community in Cocke County still recovering from Helene 6 months after the storm flooded the area. And today, Second Harvest Food Bank was in town to help families in need. And, well, as you can see behind me, take a look at this picture for a moment. Tons of people came out today. More than 100 cars were lined up to receive boxes of food at the distribution drive. Second Harvest had 32,000 pounds of food, enough to feed 600 families. Many of those families were affected by the floods. Karen Franklin and Tim Height were stuck in their home for days after the storm, telling 6 News how much a few pounds of food will help them out.
Tremendously. Just expenses have gone up so bad, and
that's all they had, eggs. So that's a big expense right there.
Expenses have gone up tremendously, and it's just been one heck of a ride.
You know, this was just the first of many planned food distributions. Second Harvest will be hosting the mobile pantry on the 4th Tuesday of each month.